All right, so welcome. That is AI webinar or seminar. And for those who are here for the first time, we talk about some interesting technology that is connected to AI, and I show you the state of my projects. So it is the practical application. So you get to see lots of errors because I show you the actual today, what I'm working on. But I also honestly share what are the problems and what I'm facing, what are the walls I'm hitting. All right, so here we are. You have the link. Let me give it to you again because maybe you don't get the link when you join after the seminar has started. Hello, Greg. Okay, here we are, and let's see. So some people have clicked on this link, I think. No, I don't see who clicked, but that's okay. So I'm giving you a chance to talk, and please interrupt, please talk, no polite manners. It's a seminar. So what I'm going to talk about is RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, and how do you build it. And that is essentially how I build everything that I do. So theory and practice today, they jive very well together. So I have a link that I will follow. I'll click on that link. And that is official retrieval augmented generation explanation by LangChain. Now, who is LangChain? They are a startup, obviously in San Francisco. That's where all the startups are. And they make a library called LangChain that is helping you talk to LLM. And LLM is this AI that's commonly talked about. But in practice, really, we mean ChatGPT. Now, when they explain it, they want to be quite generic. And indeed, very soon I will have a project where I'll have to use not a public, but a private and maybe local LLM, large language model, the abbreviation. But right now, we're all talking about ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a good thing, and I will show you that it is a good thing because it is the key to everything that we do. Now, I really want to change these windows, but they don't listen to me, okay? Okay, no, they did listen. All right, ChatGPT is nice because it does an interesting thing, and it's just that I cannot open. Okay, open, great. So that's the real magic. Now, I often have my own opinion, which I don't like to tell you, but in this case, that's the real magic. Everything else is just blah blah. But without that blah blah, it wouldn't work. So we do have to mention that. Now everybody has a chance to talk. Now, what ChatGPT does is, of course, talk to you in a seemingly intelligent manner. And that's the real magic. Everything else is just a little library here and there. One important thing, if, for example, it remembers who you are. So if I say, what is my name? By the way, it became much faster. Did you notice? It says, I don't know who you are, but at least I can talk. So now you should know that my name is Mark. And now knows. And it even spells it correctly, but and the case correctly. Now I can ask it what is my name. And now it will answer, your name is Mark, as you told me. All right. Well, that magic comes because of additional library that we don't see. In fact, I remember Sam Altman said that a new release, and each new release contains 2,000 groundbreaking inventions in addition to what they already have. One of them is memory. If you wanted to remember, then you have to have an additional layer that remembers. So how does it do this? In our case, we implemented in a very straightforward way. We just said, you said this and I said this. Then you said this and I said this. And now I'm saying this and it will answer. So it's smart enough that you can imitate a very simple architecture and it will work. That's what I've done. Now, when I say what I have done, if you see me playing with something, that's because I'm trying to move the windows. I always mean the same application. This is Casify. That's one of the applications that I'm working on. And for each case where we upload our documents, we have by the way, don't look at them, they're all secret. So we have a way to talk. We can say, what is my name? And it should answer the same thing, except that since we're using a different architecture to ask a question, then the answer is a little bit different. But on the back end, it's ChatGPT. Okay, you should know that my name is Mark. By the way, that's okay, but now do you know my name? You what is my name? I don't understand. It should know. So maybe we didn't push that in production. So we have the before pre-production, so to say. That guy should at least remember my name. So let's look. My name is Mark. It's very, very strange because we do combine. I told it, I already said my name is Mark. And now what is my name? In other words, we need that history just like this ChatGPT remembers history. So there is a bug there. It did know, and we'll work on that. But what I'm leading to is that there are additional layers, additional to ChatGPT here. And let me allow everybody who just joined to talk. And for those people who are here for the first time, it's a webinar or seminar where I talk about interesting technologies connected to AI and then show the state of my projects. So I'm leading up to the fact that ChatGPT remembers your name, but if you use ChatGPT with the code, with the API, then it doesn't. And you need to give it the additional memory module, and then it remembers. All right, that is described right here. That is exactly the library that does it. That's probably not the only library, but it is a very popular library. And the term that they have designed, I would say, for themselves, or maybe Microsoft designed it for them, they call it retrieval augmented generation. That's what I will show you today, and I've been talking about this all quite a lot of the previous time because that's essentially the architecture that we use here. What I mean is that, okay, we are in the AI part. Well, so the people in this case. Now that's a hard question, but it does know quite a lot about the people, and it's probably right. At least the lawyers who use it say it's very, very right and very, very nice. Okay, how does it work? That works because I built an index. So if I click here, it starts building an index. When it does so, it gives a little summary. It says submitted. That's what you saw. I just submitted. It says last index was run. Well, that's right now, 12:15. How many files did you already index? And so on. Well, let's go now. What does it mean? Exactly that architecture is implemented with some changes. I'll tell you what worked for me and what didn't. So the RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. And, you know, it's more grand names and more hard keywords, because the real magic, as I told you, is a ChatGPT. Nevertheless, without this, it wouldn't work because I need to give it my documents. So that's what they say. They say that LLMs in general and ChatGPT in particular can babble away about different subjects. And okay, the less time I say, and that is magic. But if you want to talk about private data, that's not on the web. And if you want to limit it, talk about my case, then you need something else. And that's one of the possible ways is this, called retrieval augmented generation. Now, in this guide, since it relates to them directly, that's who they are, LangChain, they tell you how it works, how you build it, and give you much more, some of the things you won't need. They are building that for a LLM-powered autonomous agent blog by Lillian Wayne. So if we open that blog by Lillian Wayne here, we'll see that she writes about very involved use case, 31 minutes to read, with this architecture, where you have many tools. You have short-term memory and long-term memory. We already saw the need for memory in general. That is so that it should remember your name. But sometimes you don't want it to remember too much for a couple of reasons. First of all, practical. You can only send a certain number of words in each question. They measure the words in tokens, and tokens are, let's say you have a long lasting, right? So it's kind of one word, but they will tell you it's 2 tokens. So token is the natural language processing term. So there is a limit. About 1.5 is what you need to multiply the number of words. By 1.5, you get about the number of tokens. So sometimes you run out of memory. You talk too much. And it says, now your question with all that you spoke about is too long, so do something about this. That's why you need short-term memory. You're saying, no, don't remember everything. Remember the last 2, 3, 5, 10 sentences that we spoke about. But sometimes you want to summarize what we were talking about. So probably for that, you can, on your end, run a summarizer. Summarizer allows much more input as an article. I think 200 pages would probably work. So you might want to supply summarized previous conversation plus a new one, and so on. In this blog, she talks about much more, and that's what the library gives you. This one. We are not going to need that. In our application, the one that we're working with, this one, we are quite happy to just give it the right documents and and get the answer to this. The lawyers love it because in addition to documents that we index, and I'll need to show you the hidden documents. So all these are PDF, but sometimes these PDFs are upside down and glued together with the correct orientation and upside down. Sometimes they require OCR, optical character recognition, and ChatGPT doesn't do it for you. So first, you need this. Second, you need to limit, and that's the thread architecture. And third, you don't want to confuse it. If you give it too much, then it will just be confused and there's no way out. One example of this, giving it too much, is my Moses AI here. Moses AI. In this Moses AI, you can obviously ask Moses questions. What is the meaning of life? And that one is trained on a very specific body of knowledge. Therefore, it goes to this body of knowledge first. And it takes it some time to think. But that's a big question. Okay, so it's talking about meaning of life, but from the Jewish point of view, which involves Torah and Talmud. If you want to ask what is the meaning of life, and ask this question of ChatGPT, you will get a much more balanced point of view. As you can see, it says, well, philosophy says this, but religion says that, and science says this, and so on. But Moses AI, and then you still are left pretty much where you started, because now you need to study all of these sources on your own and come up with a conclusion. Now, if you like Moses AI as a teacher, then it presents a specific point of view, but at least you learn from one point of view, which is the advice that it will give you itself. It will say the best way to learn is first learn from one teacher, and then go and compare what you learned to the other teachers. Okay, so that's pretty much the philosophy that we follow here, because we only give these documents and nothing else. But one good thing is that we also do transcriptions. So they can take the police camera. And of course, they have lots of police camera recordings. And we transcribe it for them. So let's see if I can show that to you. Look here. Yes. Okay. So maybe it's a recording and it's been transcribed. And as you can see, it's talking about something. So that text also goes to what we call Casify AI. That's why they like it. Besides, the speed of transcription is amazing. I recently uploaded a 2-hour transcription and I clicked on this transcribe. I did this. I clicked on it and I said transcribe. By the way, if it is in a strange format like WMA, it's not MP4. So first it does transcoding, but it's already done it. So the real thing that's behind is MP4. And then you say transcribe. When you say transcribe, then it puts it into the queue, and after it's done, it presents all the text. And then the lawyer doesn't have to read it or listen. So that 2-hour recording that I uploaded, it took it only 4 minutes. You know, it doesn't want to listen to a lot of blabbing, puts in a very high speed. That's not possible for humans, but it's quite possible for that provider. We use a provider. We don't do it all ourselves. So 4 minutes instead of 2 hours. And that is good enough. So we use the reg architecture, which I will continue showing to you, but now you see the need for that. You need your private documents that perhaps you are not allowed to even show to others. Now, in that case, we're kind of in between. It's a gray area. I meant to say the gray area. Because they know it goes to ChatGPT, but they don't care. That's not so secret. There are other agencies that are regulated, and their documentation is not secret either. For example, District Attorney Office, but it is subject to regulation, which is called CJIS, and that doesn't allow them to use public LLM, doesn't allow them to use ChatGPT. So in their case, it will be the same idea, but a different model that you will be using. So we continue with the reg architecture and with explaining this reg architecture and how it works. Now, I apologize, I heard some voice or something what was said, but we continue. So in this architecture, the first thing that you do is indexing. Indexing means I'm sending it to an index. Practical, what does it mean? Well, let's go to our maybe AI here. And when we click on index, that's exactly what is indexing. But how do I do it? The answer is that I usually do it in notebooks. So I should be able to show you because I want to show you exactly how I do it. Now, not a canned show, but something that probably won't even work. Something like that. But here are my notebooks. So I develop the code in the notebooks. Right, store document, that's exactly the index. So I think it would work here. So what I do is get the document and notice that it is text. And then I'm using their LangChain architecture, and I'm breaking all the files into paragraphs, and nothing is easy. You see here, I'm saying the chunk size is 10. That's just 10 words. And most of the texts are longer. Nevertheless, it works. It's just a warning. This is how each paragraph is. That's how long it is. In the end, it works and sends all these texts to the storage. Now, what storage we use? We use Pinecone. You can use something else, but let's go to Pinecone first. Let's log in into Pinecone. I log in with Google. And then I don't give my username and passwords to more people. Instead, I invite them. Here's the team. Okay? And I invite them as members of the team. They can do everything that is needed. So one login works. Now, here you have multiple projects. I have Casify and Free. That's both projects that I will be talking about. And I think that started this free one. This is where most I realized because, you know, all nodes should be free and that is a fit. But then within each project you build what's called an index. Now that index is not free. It costs about $70 per month at the very minimum because it is a machine that runs in the cloud. Now, these runs in the GCP, Google Cloud. Some others run on Amazon. Practically for me here, it doesn't matter. When you create a new index like this, that's when you get a choice what kind of virtual machine you want and where do you want it to run and the price that it will be. So step by step, that's how it works. But the complexity of that is, of course, nowhere near to the complexity of ChatGPT. I promise not to talk about this, but I can't resist. We're working on one machine. We have put that onto a scalable architecture, meaning we use Amazon Beanstalk, but still it's pretty simple. And we spent a lot of time to adjust parameters so that it would work. So I'm explaining the architecture, the reg architecture, and we can go here, and I'm explaining what does it really mean. When we say we load, that means that we read our documents and send them to a search engine, not to ChatGPT at first, to a proprietary search engine like this Pinecone. And that involves split, by the way. A load, it's a reading. Split means breaking them into smaller chunks. I'll be back to that. And then store. That's what we've seen. Now, that's the first step, indexing. Next step is retrieval and generation. For that, we'll need to send our query to the same Pinecone, and it will come back with a list of relevant pieces. Later on, I will want to know where is the documentation coming from. So we'll be back to this, but for now, it's enough for me to get the documentation and the answer itself. So we send it, the question to the retrieval, which gives a list of documents, and you control how many documents. I usually do 10. Sometimes it's 20. And then we generate the answer. Well, now there will be lots of details how exactly you do it, and the keys that you get, because you need that in order to hide what you are doing. Then they talk about that there is a more complicated way, Langsmith, for debugging, for making sure the code works. So as you can see, I explained the most simple architecture, and even that works enough, good enough for me, and makes the lawyers quite happy. But if you want to go much further, that's how you do it. And you load, and then and they doing this, use her blog, and then you split. Each step affects the quality. You can load different formats. When you store, there are options. So be prepared to get the real stuff. You'll have to work a lot. But, well, that's the value add. Anybody can go to ChatGPT, upload their PDF document today, and ask questions. But that is a real system that's valuable to your clients. So that's what I wanted to show. Let me pause my share, okay, and give you a chance. If you have any questions, I will open the chat. I will also allow everybody to talk, invite you to talk, and I'll continue into the more realistic practical projects. Okay, and I will also check the chat, but no, it seems that nobody said anything. Must be that I'm explaining it well. How else can you explain this? Or completely poorly, one or the other. All right, given that we use this architecture, I'll show you the application that combines the AI and the chat. That application is just finished development. So it's been around for a long time. It's an open source application. And the way it works is like this. First of all, there is a processing station. That's the indexing part. So here, each individual case is presented like this. And I can open the small application and show you which files go in that. Because what I showed you in Caseify is already packaged for the lawyers who like to say that they went to law so that they don't have to learn math. So they are not great computer users. But this is a processing station. So it's that directory that we're packaging for indexing, and maybe that directory that we're packaging for indexing. And now you go into, if it is an audio, it's pretty large. How are you packaging? So instead of really packaging this, I'm packaging a link to where it is on the web and so on. I promise nothing is really easy when you do practical implementation. But then you ask it to process it, and that's not an interesting part. I'm going to AI Advisor. So the AI Advisor is really found in two places. One is here, and that's obviously, again, not what you would give to your users, but I use it to troubleshoot. So if I click here, it will build the index. I don't want to click it not to ruin it, but I can ask here a question. What about people? It found Sarah Shackleton, Susan Bell, and so on. Okay, very good. So it works. Well, that thing also has a review part. You go to the review by clicking on giving the review. You also see the technical details. You can open the solver. You can see the output files. I think it's already open, running on the local host. And I can ask the same question. Who are the people who it gave me the same people because obviously these are related applications and we're running pretty much the same code. We're asking here, we're asking the fast API, and that really is what's going on. So we will write here, but here I have some practical bugs. So if I ask the same question, if I say, what are the people involved? But very naturally, I'll put a question mark at the end. Then it somehow gets very confused. Oh, looks like we fixed it. Just yesterday, it wouldn't work just because of question marks. Works. I cannot believe it. So maybe there was something wrong. So, okay, now you see what's going on. If you want your answer, there you are. If you now want to say, tell me more about Sarah Shackleton, then one of the possible approaches, and if you're a serious researcher or a lawyer, then you might want to do the search. Okay, here's the search for you. Search, make sure it's the same case. Let's look for Sarah. And you find her with all the details because you really need a complete search as well. Well, that application is expandable. It can work for many cases, and you can see that it is again not glossy, but still very practical. And that's even open source. Now, when I'm putting it out in the world, which is very soon, I think this week, then I will have to offer it with support because it's just too hard without support. But if you're a program and you're interested in how I do it, well, you have the code right here. GitHub here are the two related projects. It's freed, the processing, free UI, the application, and if you're a user, then you will have to get inexpensive support because you have to set up a lot of things. Here you are, you need to verify that you have the correct URL for the AI and correct URL for Solar and for the review and a correct key which I give you. And also you should be able to do this. Click on system and verify if that your system is working. But if you're a programmer, you can just look up for what's the use of that, and it's reasonably popular. I have like 100 people started and 36 or that's not millions, you know, like for some other people, but obviously it is something that people use. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Let's go back and see what I promised. I promised that we'll talk about reg retrieval, augmented generation, and the link is right here. You can do more. And I promised to show you Fried that will be working in more places, and that was an overview of the upcoming release, which pretty much happened. So again, I am stopping the share, and I'm giving you the chance to talk and the chance to make your announcements or whatever it is. You're very welcome to ask questions or to say your own thing. Let me here say question. Now, I do believe you heard me because otherwise I would have some messages. So that means that there are no questions right now. And probably it's not that I explained everything so poorly that there's not even a question, just the other way. I probably explained it well. So if so, I can ask for next topic. If you're interested in something, then you can say that. But on my end, I know what I will be doing. So here you are. I'm preparing usually for the next session. And let me copy it here. Okay. And that will be the next week on the 8th. So I want to talk about AI in Elastic. Well, that's because I'm teaching Elastic the week after. So by then I should know about, they want the full Elastic with all the details. Elastic is a search engine. I think it's Elasticsearch as its full name. And practice, I don't know what we'll be doing, but by then probably complete the release. I'll find out. Okay, that's probably what we will be talking about next time. Okay, so if there are no questions and I'm going to chat, then good. So thank you very much. Okay, and be well, and we'll talk next week. Thanks for coming and for listening. Thank you, thank you. Hey, have a great weekend. Great end of the week and a great weekend. Goodbye.